Hi friends, I am CA Naga Hanuman Madhu. Today we are going to discuss about TDS under section 194Q, that is TDS on purchase of goods. Before going to the video, kindly like our video, share our video and subscribe to our channel by clicking the bell icon. Section 194Q. Budget 2021, the government has introduced this new section 194Q which is going to be effective from 1st of July 2021. See, so 194Q says whenever you are purchasing a good, you have to deduct a TDS. So far the TDS provisions are applicable only for services. Excluding purchase of immovable property, there are few exceptions. For the first time, the budget 2021 has introduced a new section, section 194Q for purchase of goods. So now in this video, we are going to cover the section 194Q and the definition of goods and the applicability of 194Q and the special circumstances covered under 194Q and the time of deduction of TDS under section 194Q. That means when TDS has to be deducted and the rate of deduction of TDS and exception provided under section 194Q. So let us see what is section 194Q. The section 194Q says TDS will trigger for purchase of goods. So what is meant by goods? Whether the term goods has been defined in the Income Tax Act? No. The term goods has wider meaning. However, goods are defined under Sale of Goods Act 1930 and Central Goods and Service Tax, that means CGST Act 2017. Simply we can say anything comes to the market can be treated as goods. So first let us go to the Sale of Goods Act 1930 goods definition. So Sale of Goods Act 1930 says goods means every kind of movable property other than actionable claims and money. So that means other than actionable claims and money, all movable properties are to be treated as goods. So it includes stock, shares, growing crops, grass and things attached to or forming part of land. What is meant by things attached to or forming part of land? For example, a transformer. For example, let us take a transformer. A transformer is installed in the construction site for generation of power. Though the transformer is movable, it has to affix to the ground for using the transformer. So just because it is attaching to the ground, it doesn't become a immovable property. Still it is a movable property. That means things attached to or forming part of land, which is readily detachable. So let us go to the definition of goods provided under Central Goods and Service Tax Act, CGST Act. So goods in CGST Act means every kind of movable property other than money and securities, but includes auctionable claim, growing crops, grass and things attached to or forming part of land. So here it says auctionable claim and auctionable claims are included in the CGST Act. However, auctionable claims are excluded in the Sale of Goods Act. So viewers may get confused. So what do we treat it as goods? Whether do we go with the definition provided in the Sale of Goods Act or do we need to consider the CGST Act goods definition? However, the CGST Act is a specific statute which deals with sale of goods. However, on the other hand, CGST Act deals with supply of goods. So since the section says 194Q purchase of goods, so the definition referred in Sale of Goods Act 1930 can be considered as definition of goods for section 194Q for the purpose of section 194Q. So thus tax has to be deducted on purchase of movable property, any commodity, shares on securities, electricity, fuel, motor vehicle, liquor, jewelry, bullion, art, drawings, sculptures, scraps and forest produce. So that means basically whatever you purchase as a good, it is to be treated as goods falls under section 194Q and TDS will be attracted. Here the jewelry or bullion, that means, so for example let us say is a company is in construction company, however they are buying a jewelry. though the jewelry is not relevant to him, not relevant to the business, it may be a capital asset, still it has to be treated as good. That means the nature is not important. Either it can be a revenue nature or it can be a capital nature. Both are covered under this section. So for both the nature of transactions, TDS has to be deducted, whether it is relevant for the business or not. So by this you understood, good means not a product on which the business is trading. Good means everything. It can be in a capital nature, it can be in a revenue nature, whether it is relevant to the business or not relevant to the business. Any movable item purchased by the business is to be treated as goods, not the product which is in which the business is dealing. So now let us go to the applicable to section 194Q. So for whom 194Q is applicable? So 194Q says any person who is purchasing a good more than 50 lakhs, either a single value or aggregate of such value from a single person during a previous year. During the previous year, that means previous year whole. If it is exceeding 50 lakhs, then TDS has to be deducted. Friends, the section 194Q is applicable only for a resident. That means a person, whoever is buying the goods from a resident, then section 194Q is applicable. For example, let us say a person, Mr. A, is buying the goods from the foreign entity. Then in such case 194Q is not applicable because he is buying the goods from non-resident. So nothing but import of goods is not covered under TDS provisions. Now let us take an example. Mr. A is selling a goods to Mr. B more than 50 lakhs, which is more than 50 lakhs. So can we treat this transaction which is liable to be deducted TDS under section 194Q? Just because the transaction is exceeding 50 lakhs, either it can be a single transaction or it can be a cumulative of all transaction entered by Mr. A with Mr. B during the previous year. Just because it is exceeding 50 lakhs, we cannot say straight away it attracts the TDS provisions. However, 194Q has stated further conditions in order to qualify the transaction under section 194Q. So it says buyer can be any person status can be anything like company, individual or a partnership firm. So any person who is having turnover more than 10 crores during the financial year immediately the preceding financial year in which purchase of goods is carried out. For example, let us say a person is purchasing a good during the financial year 21-22. So if a person is purchasing a good for financial year 21-22, he has to see the turnover for financial year 2021. So if a buyer turnover is more than 10 crores in financial year 2021, then the section 194Q is applicable for that buyer in financial year 21-22. If the turnover is less than or equal to 10 crores, you should carefully observe the section will trigger only if it is more than 10 crores. Even if it is equal to 10 crores, the section will not trigger. The section is not at all applicable. Always remember the section 194Q is applicable to buyer only, not for seller. So let us summarize the section 194Q. So what are the conditions specified under section 194Q? 194Q says goods must be purchased from a resident and goods purchased should exceed the value of 50 lakhs during the preceding year, during the previous year. That means whole year purchases. A is selling to a goods to B. B is a buyer. So B has to purchase from A during the year, the whole year, which is exceeding more than 50 lakhs. Then the section 194Q is applicable. And the buyer B's turnover during the preceding previous year has to exceed more than 10 crores. And then only this TDS section under TDS under section 194Q is applicable. And one more condition, the TDS will not be up. TDS under section 194Q is not applicable in case if TDS provisions for this transaction is covered under any other section. This is covered under question number 6. Now let us go to the special circumstances provided under section 194Q. The section 194Q says, so for time being we have seen A is selling a goods to Mr. B. So whatever Mr. B is crediting the GL of Mr. A, it attracts TDS provision. So let us say Mr. B is crediting the GL of Mr. A for purchasing the goods of value 60 lakhs. So since the value is exceeding 50 lakhs, the limit prescribed under 194Q, the TDS provisions under section 194Q is applicable. In this scenario, Mr. B knows from who he is buying the goods, that is Mr. A. Let us say he is buying a goods from an unknown person. Mr. B don't know from whom he is buying the goods. So for time being, he has credited the transaction to the suspense account or by any other name. So section 194Q subsection 2 says, if a person credited any transaction to a suspense account or by any other name means, for example, instead of Mr. A, we might have credited to Mr. A 1 account or Mr. A 2 account, or in case of XYZ private limited company, XYZ PVT limited, we can use n number of names. But here the section says for PAN number, for one PAN number, for one person, PAN number means one person, for one PAN number, if you are making a transaction, if you are buying a goods more than 50 lakhs, then section 194Q is applicable no matter where you credit. No matter where you credit, whether you credit to the GL for one GL or you credit to different GLs or you credit to suspense account. For example, let us take Mr. X, for example, Mr. B is maintaining Mr. A's account twice in the books of accounts. One is in customer account, one is in vendor account. So they are maintaining two accounts. The both accounts has to be clubbed together for calculating the limit prescribed under section 194Q. So what we have discussed so far, to put it in a nutshell, no matter what in which account we credit the transaction, for one PAN, it has to be treated as one account. Whether it is in suspense account, the transaction is in suspense account, or it is in vendor account or customer account, or in XYZ private limited account or XYZ PVT limited account, whatever the account it is, if a transaction belongs to a single person, all the transaction clubbed together has to be calculated for considering the limit provided under section 194Q. So here let us see in example 1. In the books of Mr. B, instead of crediting Mr. A account, credited to suspense account. So it is not credited to Mr. A account, since it pertains to Mr. A sales, TDS, while considering the limit, the transaction credited to suspense account also to be considered. In the example 2, in the books of B, instead of crediting Mr. A's ledger account, create a new ledger with the other name by maintaining more than one account for a single person, like Mr. A new account or Mr. Avinash account, the full name of Mr. A. So even then it has to be treated as single account, all the transaction credited to all these accounts to be clubbed together, and the applicability has to be seen. So this is what provided under section 194Q subsection 2. So now let us go to the fourth question, time of deduction of TDS under section 194Q. So far we have understood what is section 194Q. That means TDS has to be deducted on purchase of goods. We have understood what is meant by good. We have understood to whom the section 194Q is applicable. That means any transaction or sum together transactions with a single person exceeding more than 50 lakhs attracts 194Q, subject to buyer qualifies the condition specified of turnover in preceding previous financial year. And also we have seen the special circumstances provided under subsection 2 of the section, that is suspense account or some other name account, crediting the transaction to other name account. So now let us go to the time of deduction of TDS. So that means when TDS has to be deducted. It says TDS has to be deducted at the time of credit to the account of seller or at the time of payment, whichever is earlier. This is not a new concept. All the TDS provisions says the same, subject to few sections, barring the few sections. It says whether at the time of crediting the transaction to the account of seller or at the time of making the payment, whichever is earlier. So let us see. Let us take an example. Here in the example, the person, Mr. B, the buyer, is crediting the seller's account on 10th of July 2021 and making the payment on 15th August of 2021. So when TDS has to be deducted either on the date of crediting the seller's account or on the date of payment, whichever is earlier. So here the earlier event is crediting the seller's account, that is on 10th of July. So TDS has to be deducted on 10th of July and has to be paid to the government account within the due date specified. So now let us take a second example here. Here the Mr. B buyer is making the payment on 16th of July 2021 and he is entering the purchase transaction in the GL in 15th of August 2021. That is nothing but he is crediting the seller's account on 15th of August. So considering both the events, the first event is payment. So TDS has to be deducted on payment. So TDS under section 184Q is to be deducted at the time of creating the GL or at the time of making the payment, whichever is earlier. So now let us see what is the rate of deduction prescribed under section 194Q. So 194Q says 0.1% on sum exceeding 50 lakhs in any previous year. And if a PAN number of the seller is not available, then section 206AA says 5%. 5% is a higher rate. Here the 0.1% is only on sum exceeding rupees 50 lakhs. That means if a B buyer is purchasing a goods worth 60 lakhs, he has to deduct TDS only on 10 lakhs. Difference between 60 lakhs and limit prescribed in the section 50 lakhs. So 60 minus 50, only on top of 10 lakhs, TDS has to be deducted at the rate of 0.1%. In case the PAN number of the seller is not available or not provided, then 206AA says 5% TDS has to be deducted. So now let us go to the question number 6, exception for section 194Q. So viewers, there are few exceptions provided under section 194Q. So in these exceptions, the transactions covered over here, TDS under section 194Q is not applicable. So what it says, the section 194Q of subsection 5. Subsection 5 of section 194Q provides for the exception. It says tax is not deductible under any provisions of the act. That means on a transaction of which tax is deductible under any other provisions of the act, then this section is not applicable. There are two exceptions provided under subsection 5. First exception is this one. Let us take an example. Mr. A is a seller and Mr. B is a buyer. So A is selling an immovable property to Mr. B. Mr. A is selling a good. So immovable property is not a good. So for time being, let us say it is a good. So Mr. A is selling a good to Mr. B. That is house property. Since the section 194IA deals specifically with the sale of immovable property, so this transaction is out of section 194Q ambit. So that means any transaction which is covered under some other section apart from 194Q, then that section prevails over section 194Q. So what is the second exception provided under subsection 5? So second exception says tax is collectible under provisions of 206C. That means if the transactions covered under section 206C are out of scope of 194Q. However, there is one more exception that says transaction covered under section 206C 1H subsection 1H. That means TCS on sale of goods. So for those transactions, the section did not provide for exception. The section is excluding from the exception. So let us take few examples to understand what is the exception provided under B. So here it says if the transaction covered under section 206C, then TDS has to be collected under section 206C only. The buyer need not deduct TDS under 194Q. So what are the transactions? For example, let us say, however, it has excluded from the exception which are covered transactions which are covered under section 206C 1H. So it says what it says, if a transaction covered under both the sections 206C1H as well as 194Q, then the buyer will have an obligation. The buyer has to deduct TDS under section 194Q. The seller need not collect TCS under section 206C1H. Means if a transaction is covered under section 206C1H as well as 194Q, that means sale of 206C1H says sale of goods, seller has to collect TCS. 194Q says buying of goods, buyer has to deduct TDS. So both the sections says about the transactions covered under goods, transaction on goods. So it provides an general rule exception saying transactions which are covered under 206C1H are not excluded from 194Q. That means, so the ultimate responsibility with the buyer. That means the 194Q prevails over 206C1H. If a transaction covers under both the sections, then the buyer will have a prima responsibility. So buyer has to deduct the TDS under section 194Q. The seller need not collect the TCS under section 206C1H. So let us go to the section 206C1H and 194Q once again. Before going to the section, I have a point to say. So though the prima responsibility under our section 194Q is provided on buyer, that means buyer has to deduct TDS on purchase of goods, then seller need not collect TCS. If in a scenario buyer did not deduct a TDS on a transaction on which it attracts under section 194Q, then the seller has to collect the TCS from the buyer. Just because the prima responsibility is on buyer, the buyer did not deduct a TDS under section 194Q, the seller should not say that he is not responsible. So let us go to the section backing as well, what the section says. So section 206C1H says use the word deducted. So that means section 206C1H is excluding a seller to collect the TCS only if the buyer is deducting the TDS. However, this word is not used in the section 194Q. So if a buyer is not deducting the transaction, not deducting the TDS on the transaction which is applicable for 194Q, then the seller has to collect the TCS. The seller should not say, this transaction is covered under section 194Q. So if a buyer did not deduct the TDS, though he is liable to deduct under section 194Q, then the exception provided under section 206C1H is not available and seller shall collect TCS under section 206C1H. So for understanding this concept, let us take few examples. Mr. A is selling scrap to Mr. B. Selling scrap is covered under section 206C, not 206C1H. The selling of scrap is covered under section 206C. So here the section 194Q provides for an exception of the transactions covered under section 206C. Then, so section 194Q is not applicable. The seller has to collect the TCS on the transaction. So let us take another example. Mr. A is selling an alcohol to Mr. B. So this alcohol is covered under section 206C, not under section 1H. It is covered under section 206C. All alcohol, scrap, Jendu leaves, timber leaves, etc. and so on, what are covered under section 206C are excluded from 194Q scope. So though in those scenarios, buyer need not deduct the TDS, seller has to collect the TCS. So now let us take an example for general rule for exception provided under section 194Q, that is transactions covered under section 206C1H. So Mr. A is selling a goods to Mr. B. Those transactions, he is supplying a goods which are covered under section 206C1H as well as section 194Q. So the prima responsibility will be on the buyer, Mr. B. Mr. B has to deduct the TDS under section 194Q before making the payment or at the time of crediting to the GL. If a buyer did not deduct the TDS under section 194Q, though he is liable to deduct, then seller has to collect the TCS under section 206C1H. So for understanding whether 206C1H is applicable or 194Q is applicable, let us take few examples. So here in the example 1, seller's turnover is 9 crores. The buyer turnover is 15 crores. or receipt of payment for sale of purchase of goods in previous year is 55 lakhs. So the total transactions is, that means purchase for buyer and sale for seller is 55 lakhs. Let us understand the taxability in this example. So here the buyer turnover is more than 10 crores. That means he is satisfying the condition specified under section 194Q. So the buyer has to deduct the TDS on top of only 5 lakhs. That means on purchase of 55 lakhs minus ceiling limit provided under section 194Q 50 lakhs, balance 5 lakhs, on top of 5 lakhs the buyer has to deduct the TDS under section 194Q at that 0.1%. The seller need not collect any TCS on it, subject to buyer deduct the TDS under section 194Q. So let us take one more example. Here in the example, seller's turnover is 15 crores, the buyer's turnover is 9 crores. So buyer is not satisfying the condition specified under section 194Q, that is his turnover is less than 10 crores. So buyer is not satisfying the condition specified under section 194Q, then 194Q is not applicable and 206C1H is applicable. The seller has to collect the TCS. So on top of how much he has to collect the TCS? Only on amount exceeding the ceiling limit prescribed under section 206C1H. 206C1H and 194Q, both the sections prescribed for same ceiling limit, that is 50 lakhs. So 206C1H says if a transaction exceeding 50 lakhs, on top of amount exceeding 50 lakhs, the seller has to collect the TCS. Buyer, in case of 194Q, says the same. In case any transaction exceeding 50 lakhs, on value of exceeding 50 lakhs, on top of value exceeding 50 lakhs, the buyer has to deduct the TDS. So in the transaction is for 55 lakhs, the taxable value is only 5 lakhs. That means after reducing the ceiling limit provided in the section, the seller has to collect the TCS on 5 lakhs at the rate 0.1% prescribed under section 206C1H. So let us take one more example to understand the concept in a better way. So seller's turnover is 15 crores, buyer's turnover is 15 crores. So both the buyer and seller are satisfying the condition specified under 194Q and 206C1H. So the prima responsibility, though the buyer and seller both are covered, both are satisfying the conditions specified under section. Buyer in case of 194Q, seller in case of 206C1H. The prima responsibility will be on the buyer. So buyer has to deduct the TDS under section 194Q only on taxable value, that is 5 lakhs at the rate 0.1%. So seller need not collect the TCS. Though seller covered under section 206C, the 194Q and 206C1H provides for an exception. So buyer has to deduct the TDS, seller need not collect the TCS. If the buyer is not going to deduct the TDS under section 194Q, then seller has to collect the TCS under section 206C1H. Here friends, I gave a note for you for the sake of all viewers. In case seller PAN is not available, that means for section 194Q, 5% higher rate has to be deducted. In case buyer PAN is not available, in case of 206C1H, for TCS rate, 1% higher rate is prescribed. So rates are different. In case of 194Q, higher rate is 5%. 206C1H, higher rate is 1%. Normal rate of deduction, normal rate of collection of TCS is 0.1% for both the sections. However, that means for TDS under section 194Q is 0.1%. TCS under section 206C1H is 0.1%. If PAN is not available, 194Q says 5%. If PAN is not available, 206C1H says 1%. Let us take few more examples for better understanding whether TCS under section 206C1H has to be collected or TDS under section 194Q has to be deducted. So for the first example, the seller's turnover is 11 crores, buyer's turnover is 9 crores in the previous year. And the amount received or paid in case of sale, received in case of purchase, it is paid during the previous year. That means financial 2021-22 is 55 lakhs. So the taxable amount is only, the aggregate amount has to be considered, friends. That means whole transaction during the previous year, financial year 21-22 has to be considered. So that all the transactions cumulatively it is of 55 lakhs. Then the taxable amount is only 5 lakhs. That means 55 minus 50 lakhs, ceiling limit prescribed. So 5 lakhs is a taxable amount. If the buyer's PAN and the buyer's PAN number is available, then TDS or TCS has to be collected at the 0.1% by the seller because the buyer is not satisfying the turnover condition. In case here the turnover is 11 lakhs and the buyer turnover is 9 lakhs, here the buyer is still not satisfying the turnover condition, the taxable amount is 5 lakhs, the seller has to collect the TCS. Here the buyer's PAN is not available, so TCS at that higher percent, that is 5%. Here in the next example, the buyer is satisfying the condition, turnover condition, that is 11 lakhs. So seller PAN is available, then buyer has to deduct the TDS at that 0.1%. Here in this next example, the seller's PAN is not available. Since the PAN is not available, higher rate of TDS at that 5%. In the next examples, both the seller and buyer both are satisfying the conditions. The prima responsibility will be on the buyer. So buyer has to deduct the TDS under section 194Q at that 0.1%. So seller's PAN is available, 0.1%. Seller's PAN is not available, Here is a typing mistake, not available. So seller's PAN is not available, then it's 5%. Here I gave a comparison of section 194Q versus 206C1H. The 194Q says TDS, 206C says, for the sake of convenience, I am saying 206C, it's a 206C1H. So tax has to be collected. Here it says buyer, here the responsibility is for buyer, here responsibility is with seller, and the applicability is with effect from 1st of July 2021. Here the applicability is of 1st of October 2020, and it has to be deducted, TDS has to be deducted, payment or credit to the GL which was earlier. Here the TCS has to be collected at the time of receipt, and TDS has to be deducted even on advance payments made. TDS has to be collected only on advance receipts. Like whenever we receive the amount, we have to collect the TCS. So rate will be the same, 0.1% on 194Q and 206C1H as well. However, because of reduction of tax rates by government by 25%, it is 0.075% for FY 2021 from the effective date given by the government notification. If PAN is not available 5%, PAN is not available 1%. And the triggering point, turnover of buyer exceeds 10 crores and turnover of seller exceeds 10 crores and the aggregate value 50 lakhs, aggregate value should exceed 50 lakhs. Friends, kindly make sure the 50 lakhs is including GST. 50 lakhs is including GST but not excluding GST. For example, if you are receiving an invoice of 100 rupees, on top of 100 rupees there is a GST amount of 18 rupees. So for calculating 50 lakhs limit, you should include 118, not 100 rupees. The 50 lakhs limit is inclusive of GST. Here the same, both 50 lakhs limit, that is inclusive of GST. Exclusions not yet notified by the government. Here the exclusions in case of import of goods and so on. Here the deposit date is general rule 7th of subsequent month from April to February. In case of March, it is of 30th of April. However, here also the same, the follows for TCS. Whatever the due dates applicable for TCS, the same due dates for 206C1H. So here the TDS returns has to be filed in 26Q, TCS return in form 27EQ. Here after filing TDS returns, form 16 has to be issued. Here form 27D has to be issued. So here friends, I gave few FAQs for better understanding of section 194Q provisions. So let us take up first FAQ. So when section 194 applies, only for revenue or capital goods? As I mentioned earlier, the section 194Q is applicable for even revenue or capital, or even it is related to business or not. So that means a construction company is purchasing a gold, even though transaction is not relevant to the business, the transaction is covered under section 194Q. And if a construction company is purchasing some computers which is fixed asset, though the transaction is covered under section 194Q. So that means all transactions, revenue, capital, related to business or not related to business, all transactions are covered in section 194Q. So let us say, example, take a software, computer software, pre-packed software. That means off-the-shelf computer software. That is, for example, let us take a Tally, which is ready to be installed. Even the Tally software, which is to be treated as good, this transaction attracts TDS under section 194Q. If it is customized software, then it is a service covered under section 194J. So the next question is, TDS has to be deducted on branch transfer or not? So friends, the answer is not applicable under section 194Q for branch transfers. So see, the section 194Q says transaction between two distinct parties. That means two buyer and seller has to be there. So branch transfer, in case of branch transfer, the buyer and seller is same person. So 194Q is not applicable. So let us take a question number 3. So threshold limit 50 lakhs. It's a very critical question, very critical one. We should see with the due care. So what is the limit, threshold limit 50 lakhs applicability date? So from which date 50 lakhs has to be computed? Before telling the answer, I will take you to the circular given by CBDT for a similar section, that is 206C1H. When the section 206C1H was inserted by Finance Act 2020 with effect from 1st of October, that is also from the middle of the financial year, the CBDT gave a circular number 17 dated 29th of September saying that threshold limit of 50 lakhs has to be calculated from 1st April of 2020. So applying the same analogy here, the limit of 50 lakhs for 194Q has to be applied from 1st of April 2021. So that means for whatever the purchases has been made from 1st of April 2021, though the section is not applicable on that date, that purchase has to be considered for calculating the threshold limit of 50 lakhs. So there might arise many confusion, friends. How can we deduct the TDS on transaction happened before the applicability? However, for the feasibility of understanding, I give few examples here. You can understand better from the given below examples. So here, purchase made before 1st of July is 30 lakhs. Purchase made after 1st July is 50 lakhs. The total amount is, total purchase made during the year financial year 21-22 is 80 lakhs. So out of 80 lakhs, 50 lakhs threshold has to be removed. On top of 30 lakhs, TDS is attracted. So let us take another example. Before July itself, the 50 lakhs has crossed. So that means purchase made 70 lakhs before 1st July itself. Now the purchase is only 30 lakhs. So since the threshold is already crossed, see the threshold limit of 50 lakhs is already exhausted. So on top of 30 lakhs, whatever purchase made after 1st July, straight away on 30 lakhs, we have to deduct the TDS. No more threshold limit. Another example, the purchase before 1st July is nil and purchase after 1st July is 40 lakhs. Since it did not exceed the threshold limit of 50 lakhs, TDS taxable amount will be nil, TDS is 0. Another example, before 1st July 5 lakhs, after 1st July 50 lakhs. So total accumulatingly 55 lakhs purchased during the year. So only on top of 5 lakhs, that means 55 minus 50, TDS has to be deducted. Friends, there might arise a purchase return. There might be a situation wherein purchase has been recorded. However, there might be a purchase return of the goods. So in that scenario, what we have to do? So in such a scenario, whenever there is a purchase return, by the time purchase is returned, the threshold of 50 lakhs is not exceeded, then the purchase return has to be has to be considered for limit of 50 lakhs. However, if the purchase returns happens after the crossing of threshold limit of 50 lakhs, then it should not be considered for, it should not be reduced from the limit. So it means purchase return should have been made on or before point of deduction of TDS. On or before point of deduction of TDS, as the threshold of 50 lakhs has to be checked at the point of time when the liability to deduct at the source arises. So purchase return should have been affected before the limit of 50 lakhs exceeds. So that means, so let us take an example, one more example for better understanding. On 1st of August, the purchase made during the year is 35 lakhs. 35 lakhs on 1st of August during the year, as on 1st of August. So on 2nd of August, there is a return of 10 lakhs, purchase return of 10 lakhs. So since the threshold has not crossed on 2nd of August, so you can straight away reduce from the limit, straight away reduce for calculating the threshold of 50 lakhs. That means purchase of 30 lakhs minus 10 lakhs return. So only the purchase made is only 20 lakhs. Let us take one more example. Purchase made on till the 1st of August is 60 lakhs and the purchase return on 2nd of August is 10 lakhs. Since the threshold is already crossed, purchase returns should not be considered. On top of total purchases 60 lakhs minus 50 lakhs, the threshold limit, on top of 10 lakhs TDS has to be deducted. However, this is purely our view. There is no clarity on this. CBDT has to come up with the clarification on this part. What if a debit note is issued by the buyer? Even though debit note is issued, it will not affect the TDS component. The debit note should not be considered for calculating the limit. For example, let us say purchase of 100 rupees is credited to the GL and the debit note of 10 rupees is given by the buyer. This debit note of 10 rupees should not be considered for calculating TDS. On top of 100 rupees, or straight away on top of 100 rupees, TDS has to be deducted. However, there is no clarity on this point. CBDT has to come up with a clarification on this point. And the next question is, TDS has to be deducted on total invoice value including GST. So the TDS, whether TDS has to be deducted on GST component as well. What if a TDS is deducted on GST component as well? Nothing but it is a tax on tax. TDS is deducting on GST component. So that is tax on tax. So the government on 19th of July 2017 has clarified, in case of services, GST on services, GST amount has to be excluded for calculating the TDS component. However, no clarification has been issued for GST on goods. But with respect to considering the 206C 1H section, CBDT wide circular number 17 dated 29 September 2020 has clarified that on top of total collection, TCS has to be collected. That means what will be the collection? The collection will be the gross amount along with the GST amount. The seller will collect both the invoice value, which is including the GST. So the CBDT says on top of collection, TCS has to be collected. So that means indirect, and also it says no adjustment on account of indirect tax including GST is required to be made for collection of tax under this provision. So it is saying you need not make any adjustment for reducing the GST component from the amount received by the seller for calculating the TCS amount. So that means it is saying, the circular is saying, even on GST component you have to collect the TCS. So applying the same analogy, to be on a safer side, we are suggesting to deduct the TDS even on GST component. However, CBDT has to come up with the clarification on this part. So the last FAQ, what if whether the payment or the booking of invoice happened before 1st of July 2021? So what does the section says? The triggering point is payment or credit. So if any of the event, whether if you make the payment before 1st of July or the credit to the GL is happened before 1st of July, the section is not applicable. On that date, the section is not applicable. So the liability to deduct will not arise. However, in order to not to make our life miserable, I suggest, even though any of the transaction, whether payment or credit to the GL is happened before 1st of July, I suggest to deduct the TDS. However, there is no clarity on this point. On a safer side, better to deduct the TDS on these transactions as well. However, CBDT has to come up with the clarification on this transaction. Thank you, friends. Thanks for your patience. It's a too long video. However, because of covering both the 194Q section and 206C 1H controversies, the video has become too lengthy. Thanks for your patience. Thank you. In case of any suggestions, you can mention in the comment section. Thank you.